Oh, no.
Your birthday we don't celebrate time, but don't worry. We're gonna celebrate time later.
Sure, sure.
All right, so the ball is in your court, Chairman.
All right. Thank you very much, dear students and our cherished viewers who have joined us this evening for another segment of our radio lecture series on EDC 111, the school curriculum, social change, and national development. And like the chair rightly said, this evening we are dealing with the topic emerging curriculum reforms. Emerging curriculum reforms. And that is exactly what we are going to do for the next 1 hour and some few minutes. And so if you are reading the course EDC 111, the school curriculum, social change, and national development, then of course, today's evening's presentation is rightly placed for you. And even if you are not part of the course and you want to know what is happening in our educational scope or educational landscape, then you are rightly welcome to join the discussion. And I would like to announce the radio the phone line 0503923158, 0503923158. Don't forget this number doubles as a WhatsApp line and an SMS platform. And so today I'm very privileged to have my colleague Miss Miriam joining me for this evening's presentation. But before we even start with emerging curriculum reforms in Ghana, the topic itself rings a bell. Emerging curriculum reforms, trying to show or to indicate that there have been changes or there is an ongoing changes, a lot of them, but because we are reading the course EDC 111, we will limit ourselves to just those ones that relate to the level that we are dealing with. And so let me first give a short introduction to our curriculum discourse before we begin with the main topic for today. I think that from when Ghana gained independence till 2017, Ghana or basic schools in Ghana have always used the objective-based curriculum. Our educational system has always been endowed with, by the end of the lesson, the student should be able to, and so on and so forth. But I think from 2017, when a new administration took over, there has been a comprehensive review of our curriculum. And if you want to know exactly when it started being implemented in our classrooms, the standard base started in 2019, whereas the Common Core program started somewhere around 2021 to 2022 academic year. And so having said that, we are now going to discuss why there was even the need for changes in our educational system. Because like I said, from the time we began our educational system in Ghana, we have always known the objective-based curriculum. And so was it even necessary for us to have a change in the kind of curriculum that we use in our educational system? And because we are dealing with pre-tertiary, we are going to talk mostly about the standards-based curriculum, the Common Core program, and the new SHS curriculum. So, Ms. Miriam, I will start with you. Was there the need for changes in our educational system from the objective-based, which have been part of our training from basic school to senior high? Was there the need for it?
Yes, so thank you very much for the opportunity, and a good evening to our cherished listeners, especially the level 100s. Yeah, so I think that at this juncture, students are aware that the curriculum has continuously evolved, right from the onset of lecture series, either here or the lecture theaters. We pointed to the fact that the curriculum is not a static document, and as one of the characteristics, it has to continuously evolve. And so the evolving nature of the curriculum is what has given birth to this new curriculum or curricula that we're going to discuss this evening. And so students will realize that we have experienced series of educational reforms, the 1987, the FQ, the free SHS. I mean, there are series of reforms that are taking place in the education sector. And so yes, there is a need, because if we look at the beginning of formal education in this country, if we compare the subjects that were studied then, if we take the 1987 educational reform, if we look at the subjects that were introduced and now, so if we should begin with the onset of formal education, what was ICT to Ghanaians when that was the first time that we were trying to do some kind of formal teaching and learning? ICT, now we're going to come across content areas like robotics and others, but you realize that those days they were not there, but now, so because the needs of the Ghanaian society is changing, it is important to reform or change the curriculum so that it will reflect contemporary needs.
All right, thank you very much. And so I think there were other issues. In that time, anytime you open your, you turn on your radio, you hear commentary that our students, we are teaching only theory, Ghanaian educational system is so bookish and all that. And I think even though there was the need for changes because we said every 5 years, per international standards, we have to review the curriculum. But there were other pertinent issues. And one of them has to do with the existing curriculum. The old one, I asked my students that how many of the subjects that they studied in the senior high school were they able to completely finish the curriculum. And some of them said it's only social studies. All the other subjects, I mean, so the existing curriculum as we had it before 2017 was fraught with issues of content overload. The content that we have was so overloaded that I remember in senior high school we have GAST, one science book, very big, and there is no way you can finish it before the 3 years. And so I think that was one of the reasons that also gave birth to the changes that occurred after 2017 and then 2019. Again, assessment system failing to provide sufficient data. Assessment system as we had it then, a student would get aggregate 6, but because one short exam cannot really tell whether the results are for him or her. Sometimes it depends on where you sit in the exam hall and the conditions that might prevail. And so you may meet a student studying science, and that student, later on after first year, the student will say, I'm not sure I can do science.
You are talking about after first year?
After first year, yes. Or in some instances, not
2
even
weeks into classes.
Meanwhile, the person came with good grades. Yes, in science. So that is why I think there was the need for this new curriculum, because if you find yourself studying a course and only after 2 years you regret, sometimes you may know that the area is not even meant for you. And so that is one of the reasons. So we have mentioned one, the curriculum had not been comprehensively reviewed in recent times vis-a-vis the international benchmark. 2, the existing curriculum being fraught with issues of content overload. 3, inability of the assessment system to provide sufficient data. And 4, assessment overly emphasizing preparing learners to pass exam. We all went to school, and the moment you start studying the course, you ask yourself, but this course, what am I going to get? At this point, you are asking yourself, if you are in first year, what am I going to get in this very course? Because all that comes to mind is your grade, and not necessarily everything. So we were just in the school to prepare our minds just to pass the exams, chew, pass, and forget. And if you talk to our students, you realize that some of the subjects that they studied even last semester, they may have forgotten, because they are products of the old system that only prepare the minds of the learners to chew, pass, forget, and then leave it. And so that is also one of the reasons why there was the need for the change in our curriculum from the objective-based to the standards-based. And the last reason was poor national learning outcomes. We normally say that, yes, we were training students to pass the exams and forget. But even when they write the exam, they fail. That is why when you compare our performance in early grade reading and arithmetic and mathematics, and even the BEC that and WASI that we write, sometimes when you look at the scores for the kind of schools that we have, you ask yourself, but if these students are saying that they are learning to pass exam, forget and go, how come when they write the exam they equally failed? And that is why I think there was the need to change the curriculum from the objective based to the standard based curriculum. And so if you are a listener and you have just joined us, this is Radio Windy Bay 98.3, and this evening we are discussing emerging curriculum reforms in Ghana. We have been privileged to be joined by another colleague, Mr. Alestete, who unfortunately, we thought he couldn't make it, but he's here with us. And so, Mr. Ete, if you have just joined, this evening we are discussing emerging curriculum reforms, and we were just talking about the factors that gave birth to the introduction of the standard-based curriculum as a paradigm shift from the objective-based that has always characterized the Ghanaian educational dispensation. I don't know if you have anything to add to what we have just said.
I think that you're on course, so can we continue?
All right. And so, Ms. Miriam, the next question we are asking ourselves is, in this new curriculum, what really is the focus?
Yeah. So, like let me take it from where you ended. That emphasis is no longer on teaching learners to pass exams and then they forget. But we are looking at a situation where the learner will be refined, totally refined. So, we're looking at what issues related to character building. So, building character. 21st century, we need learners with the requisite character that will be productive for the totality of the learner's relationship with one another at the workplace, in the family, the home. Like, we introduce our students to the functions of education. And so in social studies, these things are not new, totally new things that we're trying to put into the curriculum. They've been there, but it seems that we were not emphasizing some of them and all that. At the end of the day, we were just focused on helping learners pass examinations, which were assessing to a larger extent the cognitive domain of the learner. So we are looking at a situation where the learner's character will be reformed. So in social studies, like I mentioned earlier, we have this topic, character formation. Is it in RME or social studies or both?
Both.
So the necessary character that we need in order to live productive lives. In addition to that, we need to nurture values. The curriculum has certain values, so we can talk about the values of respect, of honesty, truth and integrity, excellence and order. These values are important. If your character, I don't know, somebody who we can say this person is of good character and the person is disrespectful or is not honest. So all these things move hand in hand. And our students need to bear in mind that these things that we are mentioning, they are not topics that we're going to write on the board or put in the curriculum as a theme or a topic. But at the end of the day, we teachers, we need to maneuver our way irrespective of the subject that we are teaching, so that we ourselves will model these values and character that we're talking about. We are looking at raising literate, confident, engaged, and critical thinking citizens. Like, we have come to appreciate that the illiterate of the 21st century is not the one who cannot read and write. No. If you are still there and you think that when we say somebody is illiterate, it means that the person cannot read or write, then I'm sure you are in that era alone. We are looking at that individual who cannot learn, unlearn, and then relearn. So learning is a process. That is why Castle will tell you education is a cradle to grave experience. So we need to continuously learn. We need to unlearn the old ways of doing things and then relearn how can we do it in a new way, so that there will be innovative, there will be creativity in all that we do. At the end of the day, the need to do critical thinking. So currently, the topics in all the subjects, these things are important that we need to emphasize, so that learners will be critically engaged, be confident. We have raised a culture to some extent. You know, sometimes you meet your students in town. I'm talking about the pre-tertiary level. You see your teacher, hey, you want to go and hide, as if you have committed a sin.
Yeah.
You just don't want your teacher to see you. Or you are in the house, your teacher comes around. You know those days that when they try to make follow-up on this teacher would, and then all of a sudden, hey, if you don't, your siblings will tell you, hey, your madam is here, your sir is here, and for you don't know the reason why the teacher has come, but you just don't want to see the teacher. I don't know whether it is out of timidity or fear, or I don't know, but we are looking at students now that will be confident,
But
whatever stance they take. So if you are confident, you won't be timid and be hiding. You stand your point and you argue it. Sometimes people misconstrue confidence to be arrogance, but there's a difference between that. You can still communicate your point in a way that it won't show, it won't appear like you are being disrespectful or what have you. So we need to be confident. Self-confidence especially is key. Self-esteem, believe in yourself, they can do spirit, so that you won't always be there relying on what others will say. Those days when you were teaching, you ask a question, student raises their hand, answer, and then others, hey, if so and so has said, what am I? What do I have to add?
But you see, it's because of the old system.
Yeah.
The old system, you know, trained us to be timid. Because this time around, if you are teaching and the student raises even the left, because those days you may not even know the student is a lefty. But once, who are you to raise your left hand in the classroom? Even when you are writing with your left, teachers would correct you, turn it around and say, write with your right. Even in the university, it happens that there are instances, students, you are talking and they will just, you give them microphone, they will say, sir, go and come, because they are all product of the objective-based curriculum. And that is why this new curriculum wants to present something that is so different. Like we already said, you can make your point without necessarily sounding insultive or offensive. Mr. Ete,
Yeah.
do you have anything to add for the rationale?
Yes.
I think
Yes, you have. They miss his voice.
I think you're of course. But then, yes, we always say that the objective-based curriculum was equipping us all right. It wasn't that bad. Just
sure.
that it was more or less described as bookish. It was not. It was giving us content, all right. But what you were saying, the confidence to do things was lacking, and when, like you were saying, the national outcome, educational outcomes were not seen in the learners. When you compare when people complete JHS in Ghana, and then another person in US or elsewhere completes JHS, let's say an equivalent of that, and they are talking to you, or you are querying them, you are interviewing them, you will see the difference that the Ghanaian appear to be timid, like you are saying. Yes. So the whole thing is that we were also having issues with character, values. So the attention was to now introduce something that will add to the content knowledge that normally we have. Because if you complete high school, as for your core mathematics knowledge, the subject you learned, you cannot take it out from the Ghanaian student. Yeah. At every level, that
but how to communicate
it, how to make use of it. You see, how to translate that into certain actionable situations. You don't find them. So now our attention was brought to that too. Now, when I say our, I mean as a country, we needed to do something about it, and that's how come the standard-based curriculum was introduced.
Thank you very much. And so we just spoke about the rationale that this time we want to nurture values. We want to build character. And lastly, we want to raise literate and engaged critical thinking students, students who can make their points and move on, and so and so. I quite remember, I don't know, Miss Miriam, whether you remember this. There was one European lady who joined our history class in level 300, and there was a day we had to make presentations. And everybody, when she stood there, she didn't say anything, no, but just the confidence alone.
Yeah.
Even the madam was clapping. Oh, meanwhile, the guy, we were there. This lady didn't make any sense. Especially the way she used slangs. I don't know whether the madam heard it or didn't hear it, and that was it.
Yeah.
So we go to the organization of the revised curriculum. You know, in the old curriculum, if you check the framework, you see content, topics, subtopics, objectives, learning experience, unit 1, unit 2, and all that. Ms. Miriam, would you want to walk us through the strands, the sub-strands?
Okay. So, like you rightly said, students, as they familiarize with the new curriculum, they are likely, or they are going to meet certain new concepts or terms. And so one of them is what we term strands. I advise my students that they shouldn't try to connect or link or kind of match.
So strand will be
matching,
topic.
so strand be this,
topic, and then the
when
sub-strand
you
is
get to a
subtopic.
point, if you don't take care, you will be telling them, you treat it as new
Concepts.
So strands are the broad sections or areas of a subject to be studied. And so, for example, we have subjects like mathematics, social studies, integrated science, ceramics, geography. These are subjects. And then we are saying that the strands are the broad sections under within each subject. So if you take a subject like English language, what are some of the broad, the underlined word there is broad. So what are some of the broad sections in English language? We have composition, for example. We have comprehension. We have grammar. We have literature.
Yes.
So let's take composition, for example. You realize that there are various forms of composition that we were taught. So we have some under letter writing. We have argumentative essays, the debates, article writing, and the rest. And so these ones becomes what?
I normally use
the substance.
I normally use grammar because that one.
So each of them,
yes.
Whichever one you take grammar too. Of course, you have Concord, you have lexis and structure. We have the what are some of the other areas?
Pronouns, nouns
and all those things. So they are also there. Or tenses can be one of them. So the strands are the broad sections. Let's take another subject.
Mathematics.
Like mathematics, okay. So we can begin with sets, the S-E-T, a set, okay. We can have algebra, or algebraic expressions and all that. Then we have another one that usually the mathophobians appreciate a lot. When it comes to
mensuration.
Yes. So
but our students need to understand that each subject that they pick, that is why when they get to the university, it is very easy for us to get courses.
Yeah.
Because when you say you are doing geography in the university, you may have courses here. But in the secondary school, those courses will not appear as courses. They may appear either as strands or substrands.
Okay. So I think that is it the subjects we are talking about? The subjects here, like we studied, if you take at the pre-tertiary level, you take history, for example. And then that is history.
Subject.
Okay, so you are going to a subject. In the university, you realize that there are several thematic areas in history. When you get to the university, that is where it is expanded in terms of courses. So I think that it is still
easy for them
because of the level. That is why it is done that way.
Then we come to the substrands, and you have rightly said if we pick, say, grammar, we are likely to find these thematic areas under them.
Yeah.
Then the content standard.
So we are now, the content standard has to do with the predetermined. So content is still in the curriculum. So we need to so the key word there is predetermined. There are certain standards or benchmarks that our students need to attain, so that we can measure and at the end of the day say that the learner has attained this set of skills or values or attitudes. So in each year, the learner is expected to meet these predetermined values or skills or knowledge. At the end of the day, if you look at the whole curriculum, the argument was that promotion is no longer going to be based on passing exams, the paper and pencil exams alone, but the learner's ability to master the core competencies. And so at the end of the day, by year one, if you can establish as a teacher that the learner has been able to attain these skills, they are the minimum. Okay, if the learner is able to meet them, then the learner can proceed to the next level. That is what is on paper. But the reality, I believe, when we go on the field, we'll see what is happening there. So the predetermined level of knowledge, skills, values, attitudes that the learner is expected to attain by at each stage of education. So by the end of year one, before you be promoted to class 2 or class 3, in the old curriculum, that is why we were writing promotion exams. So in order to minimize that knowledge of promotion exam, we say skills, content standards that the learner is expected to attain at each stage.
Mr. Atta, I don't know if you have anything to add, strands, sub-strands, and
content standard.
Oh, I think Miss Miriam has done a good job, but something that I would like to add is if she had treated that of the indicator, so that we see how between indicator and then content standard, how do you know that? Because it looks very similar.
So the indicator will now mean the minimum level. So the content standards there's going to be a number of them. It's detailed, and we know that the learners we have are of diverse backgrounds. We may not be apt to say that all of them should be able to score 80 to 100. So there could be that threshold, just like we have at the university. To a pass in the university ranges between A and then D. So we know our level. That is why at the end of the day, we all graduate, unless of course it is an E or an IC. So the indicator, what you see to know that the learner has attained the minimum. So you are driving and then you want to show the indicator lights, the trafficator, like we normally call it. What is the? So you show that light to communicate to other road users that either you want to overtake, you are turning left or you are turning right. At the end of the day, the learner is supposed to exhibit certain behaviors so that the teacher will be convinced that the learner has attained the predetermined. I'm talking about the content standard. So these are the minimum outcome. The indicator is a minimum outcome. They are there playing. If you are able to find yourself within D,
exhibit them.
Yeah, exhibit them. I mean, it doesn't mean that the learners are prepared to settle for the minimum, but there is that range. If the learner falls
because of
differentiation and other things, if the learner falls within 50 to 100, we say pass the student. I'm just using it as a scenario. I'm not saying it's 50 to 100. Okay. So the indicators represent the minimum expected outcomes in a year that the learner is expected to attain.
Yes. So yeah. So in other words, in fact, that's a very good explanation. But I want to add something to it to help learners to be able to, when they see a content standard, they should be able to see that this is a content standard. When they see an indicator, they should be able to tell. So you were using words like exhibit, show, demonstrate, appreciate, recognize. These words, we may say they are somehow amorphous. I mean, our students understand it because we have treated this word in class. Good. Now, the issue is this. If you are to demonstrate, so a typical example, in social studies, the standard-based curriculum, SHS, JHS1, social studies, the strand is environment, the strand is environment, the sub-strand is environmental issues. Then the content standard is, listen, demonstrate skills in dealing with environmental challenges. So here the word used is demonstrate. They could have used words like exhibit, show, appreciate, recognize. These are the words used to formulate content standard. Now, you see the difference between this and then the indicator. The indicator will be quite specific. When you say demonstrate, how should I demonstrate it? Show, how should I show it? Appreciate, what do you need that I must do for you to see that I appreciate it? So for the indicators, they use observable behavioral words, very specific. Explain, discuss, identify, list, mention, give. Those words, when it is done, you can see. Those ones are used to, that is why they are indicators. Yeah. They help
the
to,
word itself.
Yes, to indicate the level of, in fact, multiple indicators come together to give you your content standard.
Yeah, sure.
So what you can explain, what you can identify, what you can state, what you can define, they all come together to demonstrate your knowledge, which is the content standard.
All right, thank you. Then I think the last one is the exemplars.
Yeah.
And I think with the exemplars, they were just to guide the teachers. That as a classroom teacher, these and these are what you must do for you to achieve your indicator. Then it will help you to achieve your content standard. It is in that line.
Yeah.
Because at a point, they didn't know if you leave the content standard and the indicator and the teacher gets to the classroom, the teacher is going to teach something so broad and yes. So they are exemplars, like the name suggests, examples, exemplars. So use these exemplars to guide you to achieve your indicator. Then in that way you are achieving your content standard.
Yes. So just like Miriam was saying that normally she doesn't want us to relate the new terms to the old ones. Yes, because you get to a point you will not find something in the new to relate to the old or otherwise. But when it comes to exemplars, something that you can relate to it is what we call teacher-learner activities.
Yeah.
Learning experience, the activities. Yeah. So when you look at them carefully, you will see explained guides. You don't have guides to them or lead to know, but you see actions that you must take. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. And so these are just the introduction to the discussion that we've done so far. Let me add that 3 stages of reforms have developed over the past 7 years. There have been 3. And I indicated at the earlier stage that we have the standards-based curriculum, which is from KG up to Basic 6. And then we have the Common Core program from Basic 7 to 9. And then we have the new SHS curriculum for Basic 10 up to 12. And when I say Basic 10 to 12, I'm referring to SHS 1 up to SHS 3. When I say Basic 7 to 9, I'm referring to JHS 1 to JHS 3. As for basic KG up to Basic 6, we all know what basic school means. And so now we are going to talk about the subjects in the learning areas.
Or the subjects.
Yes, learning areas or subjects in the standards-based curriculum. The subjects that learners are supposed to take. And so, Miss Miriam, you can walk us through.
So we are beginning with the standards-based, the SBC. So, like you have established, it spans from KG up to Basic 6. So what are we going to talk about? We'll look at it in that line. So for KG, they are young. It's not about loading them with so many things.
Yes,
so
they came to draw.
They came to draw and paint. Anyways, so we limited them to numeracy, literacy, creative arts, and then what are people over. That is what came earlier, but they are reviewing some. So when I was asking my students, they said, "Oh, some schools are doing the OWAP, others are not."
Yeah.
But as the policy document is OWAP is part. Then from Basic 1 to 3, Basic 1 to Basic 3, the learning areas are numeracy, literacy. So the literacy here we have English language and then Ghanaian language, science, creative arts, history, RME, what are people is still there, which is a combination of a number of learning areas like citizenship education, agriculture, computing, geography, RME. Yeah. Then we have physical education from basic 1 to basic 3. So from upper primary, basic 4 to 6, the learning areas, we have numeracy. So the numeracy, our learners should bear in mind that it's more or less like mathematics.
You can't dodge it.
Basic mathematics, so numeracy for them. So that the maths there will not say the numeracy, yeah. The literacy, which is the English language, Ghanaian language, French. I think Spanish and Chinese has also been introduced along the line. Yeah, but this is what it started with. Science is there, creative arts, history, RME, OAP, what are people computing, and then physical education. So as far as the learning areas or the subjects are, this is what we're talking about. A quick one to this. Our students may think that if we have mentioned or established that one of the reasons for reviewing the curriculum is that it was too much, it was overloaded. So how come so many subjects? They need to bear in mind that we are looking at, when you take each of the subjects, the scope or the depth of the subject in the old one, it was very, very broad. But the subjects, like it stands now, basically 4 to 6, about how many there? 9 or so. Yes, there are many, but the depth, the coverage, the scope is not that wide like it used to be in the old one. So that is the quick one that I want to add.
All right, thank you very much. And so this is still Radio Windy Bay 98.3. This evening we are discussing emerging curriculum reforms in Ghana. The phone line remains 0503-923-158, 0503-923-158. You can join us with your comments, your contribution, and whatever you may have in mind. Let me quickly go to Facebook and I can see some comments. For instance, Junior Moscow is saying that, please, will the new curriculum affect those studying art education in the university? Because of the changes in senior high school subjects, especially visual art subjects, please, can you clarify it for me? And I think we will defer this to when we are treating the new SHS curriculum.
Yeah, I think it is part of this, so you should just hold on when we get there.
Mary Eduja Mfi, with the establishment of the new curriculum, learners can now express their skills and also feel confident in their behavior when it comes to learning. But with the objective-based curriculum, it was too bookish and learners were always timid. Thank you very much for that contribution. Amagana, I'm in the person of Aka Faustina from the Special Education Department, level 100. Thanks for the good work, but I want to know the factors, please. I'm not so sure about the factors that you mean. So if you can come back again, we will be here to respond. So, Mr. Hete, we go to the Common Core program. Can you walk us through?
Okay. So the Common Core program has, that is JHS. In fact, to call it JHS, we will say basic 7
to 9.
Good. The learning area, because we just finished the learning areas, I can mention some, then we come back. But maybe let me talk about the rationale and why it is there. So originally it was designed with the intention that it will run from basic 7 to basic 10, which is JHS 1 to SHS 1. Unfortunately, when the reality dawned on the developers, they realized that that seamless characteristic of the standard-based curriculum that they were looking for cannot be practiced, or it cannot materialize in our country. So they reversed to basic 7 to basic 9, that is JHS 1 to JHS 3, right? And the program is developed to prepare learners for higher education and the world of work, or both. In fact, the way the program is designed, if you complete JHS and you don't further your education, well, I will not encourage that. But assuming you complete JHS and you don't further your education and you enter into any other area that you want to, you will not be deprived so much. You will not be deficient. Nobody can tell that you. In fact, people will see that you are educated. Yes, they will see that you have really attained something. And you yourself, you will see that you are not deprived, provided you took advantage of what you were taught and you learned them. Good. And it's also designed for you to be able to further your education. That is obvious. So that once you complete JHS, the road is clear for you to move on to high school, either senior high school, senior high technical, or any of the TVET or vocational institutions. Good. Or both of them. Yes, you can engage in both of them. And that is what makes the Common Core program very, very versatile to prepare us for the world of work and education, further education. What are the aims? With what I've said, we can relate them to the aims of the program. It is to adequately prepare learners for career pathways or further academic progression. Yes, we have just elaborated on that. And it is to focus on assessing knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values with emphasis on what learners can do. Yes, so that this time around, it is not you just passing BECE, but we want to see how the curriculum has changed you, your way of life, what your perception, your understanding of life, basic mathematics, language, social issues, emotional intelligence. These basic things that should sustain everybody in the society, you will not be deprived of them when you complete the JHS program, the Common Core program. It is to produce a new generation of high school graduates. When we say high school, we know the junior high school. That's what the junior high school graduates with the requisite 21st century skills, workplace beliefs, culture, workplace culture, effective workplace culture, and then employable skills. So that is why we said that you can even complete JHS with this new curriculum if it is implemented well, and you can still divert into the world of work, and nobody will see that you are not highly educated. Yes. So, yes, 21st century skills. That is why we have the core competencies there, right? And then, the core competencies, which are 6, they have been, they are the 21st century skills which have been subsumed under 6. So these are to equip learners to ensure that they fit well into our current dispensation. And then the last point to justify its aims is to ensure seamless progression. And this particular point is the one that has been revised. You are not moving. You see, one characteristic about standards-based is that once you are able to meet the minimum standard, nothing should deprive you from moving ahead in terms of the pathway you want to go. So if you want to continue high school, once you complete and you have the minimum standard, you should be able to go. And so because of this, to have an examination like BEC, a terminal examination like BECE, that if you are not able to pass it, then you are not going, it is an impediment to it is an affront to the features of standards-based curriculum. And that is why the idea was that we're not going to have BECE. But sooner than later, we saw that we needed it because there should be something to separate the boys from the girls. Yes. And if it is not there, there are a lot of consequences. The seriousness attached to what we study could be affected. So this seamless progression, even though it has been revised, it is still there in some way. How is it there? Look at the cutoff point for passing to high school. What is it now? Is it 49?
There is no cutoff.
There is no cutoff point.
Once you finish, you choose a school and
yes.
If you don't get, you place
do,
yourself
yes,
in
wherever you want to go.
And there are interventions. Even when you fail miserably, you can still rewrite BEC so it's like by all means you must move on. That is why I'm saying that the seamless progression is still there, but there are some impediments such that if you don't pass the BECE, then your progression will not be seamless. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Tete. And so, just a quick one. Mr. Tete, let me ask you before Miss Miriam will come in. Why the name Common Core?
Yes, it is common core because you see it is expected that if you don't attain formal education to any level at all, not JHS, you should be able to attain JHS education. Great. Now, why is it so? Because there are certain things, there are basic elements of life that are taught from primary school all the way to JHS. It is somehow, the standard-based curriculum is somehow climaxed at the JHS level. Then from there you move to another level, which is the SHS one. So at that stage, if you don't get to that level, you still lack certain things in life. And so therefore, those things there, the content there, the learning experiences there are things that everybody needs to live a meaningful life in a society. So it is not content for some people and content for other people. No.
Like those days, electives, some will do catering, whilst others are doing basketry at their village.
Yes, it is still there in the area of language. Yes, some people are doing English language with French, others are doing just English language, others are doing Arabic. It depends. That is still there. But then, even the design, creative arts, that one, some people are also specializing in certain areas. But the whole thing is that when you take the 9 subjects, the language is there, and the underline is that it's language. Yeah. Great. So
any form of language.
Any form of language is language. Very good. So they are things that everybody needs. Just that is why we have core subjects. They are the content and learning experiences that everybody needs to attain, to be able to live a good life in the society.
All right. Thank you very much. And so you just mentioned some of the notable features. So let me conclude on that. Then Miss Miriam will come in. So all learners learn 9 core subjects. Like you said, whether once we say language, it is language. So from JSS 1 to JSS 3, you are doing 9 core subjects. Yeah. There has been the introduction of creative arts, career technology, and physical and health education to all learners from JHS 1 to JHS 3. And this time around, we see something new here because there has been the introduction of project work, community service, and engagement as part of a comprehensive learner assessment that emphasizes doing. Yeah. Because those days, there wasn't anything like community service for a JHS student. But this time, we see it as critical part of the learner's life in the junior high school. Yeah. So, Madam, like you rightly said, walk us through the learning areas and the focus of the new subjects that have been introduced.
I think the learning areas is a build-up of the standard base. So RME is still there. Creative arts, like we had at the standards base level, when it comes to the JHS or the Common Core, design is an add-on. So creative arts and then design. We have physical and health education. And under the standards base, we have only the physical education.
Yes.
But at the JHS, the health aspect is introduced. So physical and health education. Then a new learning area here, we have career technology. Career technology, computing, languages. So the career technology is more or less like the old BDT, yes. The technical drawing and the basic design and technology. So yeah. Then the languages are there. This time around it has been expanded. English language, Ghanaian language, Arabic, French. In reality, Spanish, like Mr. Ete said, languages. So as and when there's a need to include a language or add a language.
People are doing Chinese. People want to learn Chinese. So.
But Chinese is a program at the university level now. We have social studies, mathematics, and then science. So these are the learning areas.
Yes, Mr. Tete. So we are moving on to creative arts. I think it comprises the 4 major disciplines. 4 major disciplines. We have design, visual, music, dance, and drama, forming creative art and design. And the rationale for its introduction was to develop learners to have creative and innovative skills, critical thinking and problem solving skills, collaborative and communicative skills, and so on and so forth. Now, I think we can, having said this, we can move to the new senior high school curriculum. And so, Miss Miriam, now take us through the new senior high school curriculum.
All right, so the new senior high school curriculum is a build-up of the SBC and the Common Core. So the core competencies that we've mentioned over here, they are 6 in number. They run through all of them, even to the university. So our students need to bear in mind. So the vision for senior high school, for the senior high school curriculum, is that the curriculum is to prepare SHS graduates equipped with relevant skills and competencies to progress and succeed in further studies, the world of work, and adult life. These are the areas to equip them so that they can succeed in further studies. When you complete senior high and you want to further to the tertiary institutions, it is envisaged that the SHS curriculum will put you in that capacity, the world of work, so that I think, like Mr. Teta mentioned, the intention was a seamless progression for all JHS students to be for basic education to end at SHS 1, so that by that SHS 1 now, like we have now, basic 7 to 9, like we have now, those who want to progress with what the grammar schools like Fedrin will go to SHS 2 and then 3, so that those who may want to enter the field of work, and I remember that was when some people mentioned that, hey, they said now when they complete JHS, JHS, you'll be given a higher diploma for you to work. For you to go and work. So this is where it's coming from. By the time you complete SHS, you should be well equipped, so that either you want to progress or you start, because of the creativity and innovativeness, you set up something, you start, or those in the technical schools and all that, even if you don't progress, you can still make meaning out of the knowledge and all those things you have gained from the SHS curriculum. Then, by the time you complete SHS, it is expected that you are an adult, unless in extreme cases where we have the gifted or talented students. So quickly on some of the learning areas, the minimum subject to study is 7 and the maximum is 9. And this is what WAEC is going to assess learners on, the assess curriculum. There is a greater flexibility under the key features. There's a greater flexibility in the subject combinations, such that if you're a science student and you have interest in literature, for example, you can go read literature for 1 year, so you drop it after the first year. In the same line, if you are a general arts student and you have keen interest in physics or any other subject, you go and take it and then drop it after the first year. The reason is that the transcript system has been introduced, so it will appear on your transcript that you have read this course. It's just like what usually takes place in the universities. We have auditing of courses, so you go and audit a course. The most important thing is that you pass the course. So you audit the course, it will be on your transcript, but the cumulative, the weighting is 0, because that is not going to be used to calculate your GPA. So STEM is a new area that has been introduced, global studies, and introduction of new subjects. So another feature is the introduction of new subjects like performing arts, physical and health education, religious and moral education. Religious and moral education has been there, but now I think that the expectation is to make it a core, and so that all of them will study, not necessarily being examined.
At the senior high school, it was either CRS or IRS.
No, that is with the elective.
Yes.
But you go to some senior, especially the mission schools, they study, some of them read, how do we call it, religious and moral education, RME. And so I think it was dropped after first year. I don't know whether you, it was dropped after first year or second year. I didn't do RME as an elective, but after second year or so we dropped it or something like that. I remember very well that we did it. It wasn't examinable, but for the elective general arts students, they are going to continue with the IRS, the CRS, depending on where you find yourself. So agriculture and agricultural sciences there, physical health education, Spanish and Arabic, the STEM subjects like robotics, engineering, biomedical science, manufacturing, aviation and aerospace engineering.
And the students were asking me, yeah, who?
So it doesn't mean that they are going to study all of them. It's just like the subjects that make up general arts. There are many, but depending on the school and then the 4 that they settle on, depending on the class and the combination. So there are many, any of them that they want to do. Some subjects have been rebranded. Rebranding is key in every area. So formerly what was known as technical drawing is now known as design and communication technology. I think it is in the right direction. This one is current. Formerly what was known as GK, general knowledge and art, for the visual arts students is now known as art and design foundations. Art and design foundations. Then we have the individual subject like design, graphic design, sculpture, painting, basketry, calabash, and God design. Those subjects are now known as art and design studio. And so I think that.
So now this answers the question that the gentleman asked. Please, will the new curriculum affect those studying art education in the university because of the changes in senior high school subjects, especially visual arts subject? The subjects are still there, just that they've been rebranded, and so you have to take note of that. I think there will be an intervention for students with weak backgrounds. So we have intervention English and we have intervention mathematics. And then there will be transcript system, continuous assessment scores will be recorded at KWAKYE, and students will receive a transcript after graduation in addition to their WASI certificate. Learner-centered approaches are being encouraged. So if you're a teacher in the senior high school, it is expected of you to use learner-centered approaches in your classroom. Universities like UW, currently we are reviewing their programs to meet the new demands of the new SHS curriculum. And so when you go to some departments, it has already started. I think yesterday one student shared something with me that what their mates are learning in level 200, they are doing it in level 100. And so it means that the changes has already started in some departments. So all in all, we're saying that students should abreast themselves with the new subjects and their associated curricula. Departments should incorporate the content of the new SHS curriculum in the existing programs, and teacher-centered pedagogies like lecturing. We should know that they are outmoded. Lecturers and students need to begin practicing learner-centered pedagogies. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take your final words and then we will exit the studio.
Right, thank you very much. So, if you look at the title of this radio lecture that we have today, it titled Emerging Curricular Reforms. So, I must say that the reforms have come, and so we may say they are emergent, and they are with us now. They are undergoing reviews. Yeah, so what you need to do as students is to keep on listening to what is happening out there, because this is a new thing that has come. The SHS one, for example, they are now they are dealing with a learner planner for SHS 2. You see, you must understand what is going on there. Yes, by the time you get level 300, you will be taking through, for example, PMP will take you through some of these things, but it will be good that once you are studying EDC 111, you should have interest in knowing what is happening in the curricular reforms, and this is just the basics of it. Yeah.
Yes, Miss Miriam.
Oh, I think that I tap into what Mr. Tete has shared.
So generally, our students should know that it is no more about memorization of facts and information, but it is about the development of core competencies for effective workplace behavior, and so on and so forth. I thank you very much, Mr. Tete. I thank you very much, Ms. Miriam Ogan, for coming here this evening to join us in the studio. God willing, we shall meet same time next week. Bye-bye.